In this video, we are going to talk about the maximum and minimum on the interval. So to find the maximum and minimum value on interval, first we have to find where our slope is going to be equal to 0 and solve it by taking the derivative and then set it equal to 0. So the main thing is taking the derivative and set it equal to 0. This is the main thing which we have to do. In addition to that, you must test the endpoints of the interval as well. It's up to you. We just call the extrema the maximum or the minimum value. And it also have some domain and range, but we're not going to talk about the domain and range here. We're just going to focus on where our function is going to be differentiable, because the function must be differentiable on the interval. For this, just see an example. We have a question here. It says that y is equal to 3x over x minus 2. We have given an interval which is from -1 to +3. That means I have values which is -1, 0, +1, 2, and 3. These 5 values, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it one by one in this function to see I have some value or not. And by applying one by one all of them, when I put 2, I didn't get any possible thing. I got undefined answer. So the algorithm cannot be used as function is discontinued at x is equal to 2. For this, let's see if I put 2 in my function instead of x, what did I get? I get y equals 6 over 0. And if anything which is dividing by 0 is undefined, that means my function is not continued, it's discontinued at x is equal to 2. So here it doesn't satisfy my condition that the function must be differentiable on interval. So we're not going to work out more on this. But what if we have to find out the maxima and minima points for the curve of some given function? Let's see, we have a question here. It says that the maxima and minima we have to find out about, and for that the curve is given, which is y equals to x squared minus 4. So memorize one thing, that what we have to do, we have to take derivative, and after taking the derivative, just set it equal to 0. These two things we have to keep this in our mind. So first of all, I'm taking the derivative of this equation, which gives me 2x. Now I have to set my derivative equals to 0. So from here, I can find out my value of x, which is actually equals to 0. Now I have my x value. In order to find out my y value, what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply put it in back into the main equation, which is y equals to x squared minus 4. So instead of x, I'm placing the value. And when I place it, I get -4. So my interval, or in other words, my points are 0 and -4. These are my points of maxima or minima. Now the question is, is this point a maxima or a minima? To decide whether it's maxima or minima, we have to take a second derivative. So I'm going to taking the second derivative. Second derivative means whatever we have the first derivative, we have to took the second derivative of that thing, not the main equation, this one. So if I took second derivative of 2x, I will only get 2. And now if it's positive, then that means we have minimum. So because my second derivative is positive, so I can say that my points 0 and -4 are minimum points. So they are my minima. Let's see another example. For instance, my question says that my y is equals to 4x minus x to the power 4. Now I'm going to repeat the previous thing, each and everything. Just stop this video and do this question by yourself, and then see, is my method is going to be match up with yours, and do you get the same thing which I get? So I'm solving this question. I'm taking my first derivative, that will be 4 minus 4x to the power 3. Now I have to set it equal to 0. So it will be like this. As I want my answer, so I have to factor it. So I can write like this. Since 4 will go to the other side, it will become equal, it will become 0. So I'm left with only 1 minus x cube equal to 0. So if I put x to the other side, it will become positive. And if I took cube root even of 1, I will get 1 because it's a known thing. Now I got my x answer, which is 1. In order to find out my y answer, what to do? Just think. Yes, we have to put it back into the main question, main function, which is y equals to 4x minus x to the power 4. So I'm placing my x value here. So wherever I have x, I have to put my value of x here. So y equals to 4 minus 1. That means my value of y is 3. So my points are 1 for the x and 3 for the y. Now, this is my point for maxima or minima. Now I have to decide that is it a maxima or a minima. So just think or decide by yourself. Just pause the video and think and solve it that it is a maxima or a minima. So in order to check that is it a maxima or a minima, I'm going to do the second derivative. So for the second derivative, I'm taking derivative of the term that will give me y double prime equals, if I took the second derivative of this equation, it gives me negative 12x square. So now this is my equation. In the previous question, we just stop at that moment because we don't have any variable left. But here we have a variable. Now what to do with this x, which is bothering us? I'm gonna just putting my value of x here, which I find out here. So y double prime equals negative 12 times, instead of x, I'm placing my 1. So y double prime equals negative 12. This is a negative value. And whenever we got the negative answer, that means that it's a maxima. So the points which we got, these points 1 and 3, these are our points of maxima. Hopefully you have done it correctly. Let's see another example similar to this one. So it says that we have to find maxima and minima for the curve which is y equals x cube minus 6x square plus 12x minus 5. I'm repeating the same thing again and again. We have to take the derivative and set it equal to 0. So pause this video and do this question by yourself and then check it. Is it right or not? So I'm taking the derivative of this one. It will be y prime equals 3x square minus 12x plus 12. I have to set it equal to 0. So it will be 3x square minus 12x plus 12. Now this is some sort of an equation. We have seen these sorts of equation many times. Is it going to be a quadratic or a factorization thing? It's up to you. You want to apply which method? I'm going to prefer the quadratic, and by applying the quadratic, I got my values, which is for x minus 2 whole square equals to 0. So it means I have to take root on both sides. So that gives me x minus 2 equals to 0. So my answer for x is 2. Now I have my first point, which is x. I want to find my second point for y. So I'm going to put in function value of x. So y equals, I'm substituting value of x, which is 2 cube minus 6 times 2 square plus 12 times 2 minus 5. If I solve it, what will I get? If I solve it, what will I get? You have to think of it. 2 times cube is actually 8. And 6 times 4 is 24. 12 times 2 is 24 as well, minus 5. One positive and one negative will gonna cancel out, and 8 minus 5 would be positive 3. So positive 2 and 3 are my points. Now what I'm gonna do, I have to see is it my maxima or a minima. So for that I'm going the second derivative test. So for the second derivative test, what I'm going to do, I have to take the derivative. Now, as I know, this was my first derivative, I have to take the second derivative. So it will be y double prime equals 6x minus 12. That is my second derivative. Now I have a variable here again. It's bothering me because I don't want any variable left. So I have to put my value of x here. So it will be y double prime equals 6 times 2 minus 12. Now if I solve it, I get 12 minus 12, which is actually equals to 0. Now 0 is not considered as positive or a negative number. So we can't say that we have a maxima or minima at that point. We can only say that our test fails at this condition and it's a saddle point. Saddle point is the one which we get when our slope is flat. So see how we just solve these three types of question in which we get maxima, minima, or sometime when the test fails, we got the saddle point.